Today I'm going to give you a tutorial on how to run a transducer cable down the shaft of a Motor Guide Xi5 trolling motor. Okay, let me show you what I'm talking about. An Xi5 trolling motor, the nice thing about these is they have this steering box, so you can use this thing remotely and everything. It's got the built-in GPS, a really nice trolling motor. But this box is definitely an issue when it comes to mounting a transducer cable, because you can't run the cable down through the wires and take the whole thing apart and run the cables down the middle of the shaft, okay? So there's a lot of different solutions out there that I've seen online, but I think mine is very economical and a very good way of doing this. I've had this system in place right now for like 6 to 7 years, and it's worked great. Let me show you what I did. What I did was I went out to Home Depot and I bought this coiled garden hose, okay? I also used zip ties, a utility knife, and a pair of clippers. That's all you need to do what I'm about to show you. Now, the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take about 3 to 4 of these coils off of this hose. So, for example, I'm going to cut it right about here just to give you an idea. You cut it off right about here. Once you have that piece off of the hose, you're going to want to take your utility knife and you're going to make a cut down the middle, right here, like down the middle of the hose, to cut it open. You're not going to split it in half. You're just going to cut down one side of it just to split this hose open, okay? Now, let me show you what you do next. The next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to mount your transducer, and or like me, I have a HydroWave speaker on my trolling motor as well. Go ahead and get those items mounted. What I did then is I twist-tied the 2 cables together to kind of keep them, you know, managed in one area then. And then all I did was I took the garden hose and I wrapped it around the bottom of my trolling motor shaft, okay? When doing that then, I've got the split. You can see the split there in the cable that I did. And I just fed both the cables into that split and fed them up the trolling motor as I did that, okay? Once I did that then, I took the zip ties and zipped everything back together to make sure it was nice and secure. And then I just ran the 2 cables up the side of the trolling motor right here, putting a couple little clamps on them to hold everything in place, running the wires in different places just to get them to where they needed to go, okay? The nice thing about this is whenever you're out using your trolling motor and you're steering, give you an idea what it looks like, the cable is going to stay in place in that coil, okay? Now, another thing about this too, that you may be thinking to yourself, okay, well, what happens to it when I pull the trolling motor up? Watch this. It's really a nice thing to work with. When you pull your trolling motor up then, that coil is going to come together and keep all that together just like that. See there? My cables are still inside this hose naturally because I've got it all zip tied. Everything is managed, everything is protected, everything is good to go. I'm ready to go fishing again. Okay, what I want to do now is I just want to give you a real world view of how this coil system actually works on my trolling motor. I got my fish finder again right here. There's my HydroWave. I got my wires running down the side, and there it is in the water. So just to give you an idea how this whole thing works. Now I'm going to turn my motor left and right, and you'll be able to see exactly what happens with this coil system. I'm going to go left. You can see it just coils up or uncoils really good. No problem there. Now I'm going to go back to the right. It coils back around the motor. Now it's back centered. Now I'm going to go further to the right. You may get a little tighter on there, but yet it still manages the cables. Nothing gets broken, nothing gets pulled too hard. You just got to kind of play with the length of the hose I'm talking about to get it just to the right length. Again, depending on the length of your shaft. I have a 42-inch shaft, so the amount of coils I put on mine may be different than what you may put on a longer one. I've never had an issue with this in the last 6 years that I've had it on here. And now I'm going to go ahead and pull my motor up and show you how that works. Just like that. Everything just works perfect.